Throughout all my adventures with cars and going on trips and driving everywhere, you've usually seen a camera in my hand or around my neck. I've enjoyed photography most of my adult life. I've transferred that over into making videos that I'm truly proud of and try to put some good production quality in when I'm not driving. I've always tried to take what I've learned in photography and apply it to everything I do on the channel here, just using my eye, really thinking about composition, really thinking about things that are beautiful, and having a final sort of objective of how I want things to look and feel. You guys have a keen eye as well, and it seems that you are curious as to what I actually use. I've been asked the question hundreds of times, what do you use to shoot your videos with? What do you use to take your photos with? So in this episode, we're gonna go through everything in my camera bag, why I use all of it, and it might give you an idea or maybe some inspiration if you're looking for something to get started or to maybe expand your own personal arsenal of photography and videography gear. These kinds of videos are nothing new to YouTube. Though it is new to my channel, I've never really talked about a lot of the gear that I run with to make these videos and take photographs. You don't have to twist my rubber arm to make me pull everything out of the drawer and have some fun with it to make a video for you guys. It's honestly kind of nice to run a few shutters, make sure everything's still working, and just get a good look at it, because some of it I haven't touched in a little while. Hey guys, welcome back to our short midweek episodes. This week, we are not doing anything with cars. We're talking about cameras. I get asked all the time, what cameras do I use on the channel? What do I use for my cinematic stuff? What do I edit with? All kinds of stuff like that. We'll probably just touch on the camera aspect of it because this is gonna be a shorter episode. I don't have a lot of time this week to put something crazy out. That's the whole idea behind these midweek episodes. I'll run you down a little bit of information on all the cameras, why I have them, why I use them, that sort of thing. So let's jump into it. We got them set up on the back of the Mustang here with a dirty shop rag, of course, in the background, which might not be too conducive to a high production quality thing, but whatever. Let's talk about first my main camera, which is a Fujifilm X-T5. This camera is my main kind of all-around camera. It is really well-versed in both video and photography. You can shoot up to 6.2K on its 40 megapixel sensor, a 23.5 millimeter sensor, which will crop in at 6.2K. I actually just shoot it at 4K, 24 frames a second, I think 10-bit video recording, just to get maximum information if I'm shooting in log. In the videos, I use a lot of classic chrome-based grades just because I really love that film simulation and I can make things look kind of however I want right in camera. With the addition of like bloom filters and CPLs and stuff like that, which would be a circular polarizer, I can give my footage just an absolute crisp look, or I can make it look really dreamy and film-like. I can add dehancer to it in post and just add some film grain and stuff like that for that really dreamy look. Sometimes you see videos that look like they're old 8mm or 16mm film. And that's what I do it with, is dehancer and just stuff shot straight off the X-T5. I purchased this camera last spring after trading in my X-T3 and my XS20 for it. I sold them on Marketplace and I actually made money on top of buying the X-T5. So I had a couple $100 extra in my pocket, which I bought an extra battery and a proper charger for, because the X-T5 only comes with USB-C charging. Fujifilm cameras don't even include a charger nowadays. They just come with a battery and a USB-C cable. These things retail, I think you get them just over 2 grand Canadian, somewhere around there. They're not cheap, but they're also not incredibly expensive for something that is as capable as this. Try to carry this thing on me with every trip with a couple lenses. I usually use the kit lens, which is an 18-55. It's stabilized. The camera itself has 6 stops of in-body stabilization to get that really nice, smooth handheld B-roll that you usually see me doing. So the reason that I have an X-T5 is because I've had a whole bunch of other Fuji cameras, like I said, starting with the first one that I ever got, and that is the X100. This is the second X100 that I ever owned. This is the 4. I had the 3 before this one. I actually got this one for my 30th birthday. Got the cool limited edition brown grip. It's one of the most fun cameras just to take and shoot photos with. You can produce some really nice images on this. It's got, I think, a 24 megapixel sensor, if I remember correctly. Some of my favorite photos ever have been shot on this camera. I've used this thing at tracks all over BC and North America itself. And you know, you can tell it's pretty weathered and beat up because I've had it in the bag a very long time. It's got a lot of miles on it. My second Fujifilm camera that I ever got is this one here. This is the Fujifilm XPro 3. This is a more street photographer geared camera. It actually doesn't have a screen unless you flip it out. You have to flip the screen down if you want to chimp or review settings on the screen, but because Fujifilms are mirrorless and they have an electronic viewfinder, you can actually just run your menus right in your viewfinder. You can switch to optical viewfinder if you want with the little dial on the front here. And you know, it's a pretty awesome little camera. It shoots 4K video. It's unstabilized, but on a tripod and stuff, it makes some really nice moving images, as well as taking some really nice photographs. For some reason, the Fuji X Weekly Kodak Gold 400 film simulation looks really good out of this sensor. I have no idea why, it just does. I love it. I've had this thing since 2019 and it's been with me on a whole bunch of trips. It's always been my B camera, my backup for the X-T5. When I had an X-T3 and XS20, it was the backup for that. And B camera, I did an entire video where I went and attended the 24 Hours of Daytona at the beginning of 2020 before COVID, and I stayed up the entire 24-hour race. I was up for like almost 40 hours, I think. This was my only camera that I brought, and I brought it with a 50 to 140 zoom lens, and that was it actually. Or I think I had a 50 as well. I love shooting that thing. It's fun to take it out of the drawer every once in a while, throw a manual lens on it or an adapter with some of my vintage lenses, and just go do some street photography or have some fun around the house, stuff like that. I really enjoy it. All right, so we're gonna talk about this big fella right here. This is the biggest camera that I own. It's actually probably about the same size as what a Canon would be, but this is a Fuji GFX 50R. The medium format camera. The 50R means that this is a 50 megapixel camera. Got it paired with a 65mm f1.4. I cannot pronounce the name of that company, but this thing is made of metal. It is beefy as frig. It's really good for portraits. It shoots about like, I think a 40mm if I'm on a regular frame camera. The sensor is absolutely bonkers on this thing. It's huge, massive, and I probably just got a bunch of dust in it, but it's due for a cleaning anyways. I picked this up in the summertime. I actually traded a Leica M10 for it. It is a really, really nice camera to use. I really enjoy it. I take it out with my baby and stuff all the time. We go shoot on trails and stuff like that. It's really fun, and it feels good in your hand. It's a big, like, hefty camera that, you know, the image size and the image quality is just insane. You can still use the Fuji X film simulations and stuff on it. You can program, like I usually use classic negative on this, and it gives it a really high quality filmic look. Like, it's a really nice textured look to it, especially on higher ISO and stuff. The stuff you can get out of this is just absolutely beautiful. I really, really love this camera. All right, next in the lineup, which I actually just had to get out of the car because I forgot I left it in there before I started setting this up. My favorite camera in the arsenal, and this one gets the most use nowadays next to our main video camera, the X-T5. This is actually the backup for that now. This Fujifilm X100VI is basically a fixed lens X-T5. It carries the same 40 megapixel, 23.5mm sensor as the X-T5. It has the same 6 stops of in-body image stabilization. Really, really compact size. If you take the lens hood off, you can actually fit this in your pocket. It's just a really cool, like, nostalgic wear around your neck camera. As I said earlier, I have the X100IV, I had the X100III and the 5. I sold the 5 to get this camera, and I was only out, I think, like $500 difference. Camera that I had didn't lose very much value, if at all. I actually think I sold it for what I paid before tax. And then I got this one for retail plus about $80, I think it was. If you're looking for something that's just kind of the all-around carry camera, like you don't want to deal with interchangeable lenses and stuff like that, and you just want something to like have with you and enjoy, when I have just this camera, I don't think about any other gear. It's awesome. You get like that FOMO thinking you're gonna need more equipment, you're gonna need more lenses. That all goes out the window. You bring this, a couple batteries, a couple memory cards on a trip, you won't have a second thought about it. I can actually vlog with this thing because it's actually stabilized. The image quality you get in photos and stuff like that is unreal. It's, like I said, it's the same 40 megapixel mirrorless sensor as the X-T5. You can shoot it at 6.2K, also cropped. Like I said, it mimics the X-T5. Every spec is the same. It's stabilized, although you don't get optical stabilization in a lens because the lens is a 23mm f2 fixed lens, and that equates to about a 35mm focal length on a full frame camera. I was on a wait list for a moment to get one of these. I pre-ordered like within the hour that they were released, and I still hadn't heard from them about getting a camera for about 7 or 8 months. So I canceled that order. I found one on Marketplace local and went and got it in the color I wanted, which was just the black one. You know, I've had 3 of the silver ones, and I just decided I wanted to go back to having it kind of match the rest of the equipment. So yeah, so that is my favorite, absolute favorite camera to have right now to just keep with me. Like I said, I actually left it in the GTI because we were going out to do a family thing. It is a good backup for the X-T5. And you know, when I don't want to have the beef of the GFX 50R, that's my go-to. Going from the cameras that can digitally mimic analog, we're gonna go the analog stuff that I predominantly use. But when I feel the need to shoot 35mm film, these are the two that I'm usually reaching for. The first one is this Minolta X700. I got this at a pawn shop for about 60 bucks with 2 lenses, a bag, and it came with a roll of film. It actually has a shutter priority setting, so you can actually put your shutter dial on auto and forget about it. It will read the light coming through the aperture and set the shutter for you. It will do a beep and warn you when you are under or overexposed, which is kind of cool. It's not an automatic rewind or anything like that. It's a manual SLR. You have your film speed over here, which they did in stops, which was pretty cool. You can push or pull right on the dial. This thing has worked immaculately. The only exposures that I've ever screwed up on it on film are because of me. It hasn't been because of the camera or the lab, which does happen. Right now, I've got it paired with a 35mm f2.8. I got this lens at the Vancouver Camera Show last spring with my buddy Steve, and I grabbed this and another zoom lens. I've got a 50mm 1.4 for it and a 24mm 2.8. Those are the two that came with it when I bought it. So for 60 bucks plus 2 other lenses that I've bought, I think set me back another like $80. Not bad to be invested that much into a film camera that is robust and works well. And I really, you know, I'm not gonna cry about it if something breaks. I've had like 5 good years of usage out of this thing. Going from there, we go to something a little bit more special. This is, if you know, a Leica M6. These are a very sought after film camera. These are one of the best selling rangefinders of all time. Leica still makes them to this day, brand new. You can actually still send these in to Leica to get worked on, to get repaired. These cameras are quite robust. They are well put together. They will work for a very long time. You detach the bottom plate to load film. It's got your film speed on the back. You have a rangefinder. The winder is on the side here. Exposure's there. You have a shutter dial here. It's a very simple, straightforward camera. This thing's really fun. I've had it for, I can't remember, 6 years now or something like that. There's a funny story behind that. This is like the most expensive camera strap that I bought by accident, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of fun. But I really love this camera. I try to bring it with me to like special family things, stuff like that. A lot of the, you know, you'll never really see a lot of the 35mm stuff that I do. Maybe I'll do more of it in the future, I don't know, but these are my main two for it, shooting them. Shooting analog is always fun. It slows down your process. It makes you think about what you're doing a little bit more, and it makes you appreciate being able to shoot as much as you want on digital quite a bit more. So I use my parents' Olympus digital camera to like take pictures of landscapes and buildings and stuff that I would then drop on my computer and use, you know, to paint. I would use them as reference to paint pictures. And that's kind of how I got into photography in the first place, was through my other artwork, which was, you know, this is where it's all sort of led, is being in a shop, making videos about cars, and just having fun talking to you guys about gear and things that, you know, make engine noises and things that you got to cut out of metal. So that's sort of my main camera setup. To do audio, I actually have these newer lav mics. These are C128 CX lav mics, which is what's on my neck right here. They're cheap on Amazon and they do the job of a Rode. The quality of audio is a little bit more peaky in the high end. The Rode has a little bit better EQ, but you know, I fix it all with compressors and stuff in post, not the end of the world. As far as holding the cameras for me when I don't have hands, I have these K&F Concept mini tripods for in the garage here, and then off in the corner is my K&F video tripod. It's just got a tilt head with a handle and stuff like that, and 2-level neck with 4-level legs on these nice latches. The screw type ones have collars in them that really like to break. These things here, you unscrew them like that, and then there's a collar you can see right there. That thing actually is what tightens around the tube. They like to break. I switched to the one with the levers on it. It's a lot better. So yeah, that's sort of an idea of what I shoot with here on the channel, what you see in the photos and the videos that I make. As far as my editing stream, I use Adobe Premiere. I have a PC set up. It's on AMD Ryzen 77,000 something chip, and I run like 32 gigs of RAM with a 1660 GTX graphics processor. I actually need to upgrade that because the computer is starting to get a little bit slow, so I gotta make some upgrades to it. I gotta get back to work on the Mustang. As you'll see on the weekend, I am cutting apart a whole bunch of the front end. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of work. I don't know how far I'm gonna get because I've only got a couple days left and it took all week to get parts together, but we're finally moving on it. And it's gonna start going real fast. I'm really excited. So I appreciate you stopping by for this short midweek episode, checking out my camera gears. Please, if you have questions, let me know in the comments, shoot me a message on Instagram. I love talking to you guys about cameras, cars. I appreciate every minute that you spend here on the channel watching with me. So please, as always, be kind, drive hard, and at some point, maybe behind the camera, maybe behind the wheel of a car, we'll see you on the road. Have a good one.